This is Optimal Living Daily, episode 306. 5 simple questions that'll make you 5 times more successful. Part 1 by Marc Chernoff of markandangel.com, and I'm Justin Malik. Welcome to the blogcast, podcast, audio blog, spoken edition, whatever you want to call it. Even audiobook sometimes, but not today, because today I have a post from the popular markandangel.com. But before we get into it, I personally bought 10 books of their textbook-sized book, 1,000 Little Things Happy Successful People Do Differently. I think it is actually filled with 1,000 things. That's why it's so big, but it's a really good book. And I'm going to give away a copy on this Saturday, to someone random, plus Tim Ferriss's book too. So 2 giveaways actually. And to be in it, I am asking that you send out a special tweet for me. I'll explain at the end of this episode, but for now, let's jump right into this post and start optimizing your life. 5 simple questions that will make you 5 times more successful, part 1. By Marc Chernoff of markandangel.com. Doing your best at this moment puts you in the best place for the next moment. There's nothing more disheartening than a perfectly healthy, reasonably affluent human being with the whole world in his or her hands who's chronically unhappy and unproductive. There's really no excuse for it either, yet I see this phenomenon unfolding every single day. People who choose to be stuck in misery and refuse to admit it. This mindset results from an extremely unbalanced life. One with too much expectation and not enough discipline and appreciation. What's the point of achievement if your life has no balance? There is no point. Without commitment for what you want most and gratitude for what you already have, you'll never know the true joy of success because nothing will ever change, and even when it does, it'll never be good enough in your mind. But how do you cultivate balance in life when everything is already so far out of whack? For a decade now, Angel and I have had the privilege of coaching thousands of people from every walk of life, with various socioeconomic backgrounds from dozens of countries around the world, including some extremely powerful and successful businessmen and businesswomen. Across the board, we found that successful people habitually ask themselves and work through 5 key questions that dictate both the effectiveness of their decisions and the quality of their lives. If you avoid these questions and make decisions unconsciously, you'll end up like the majority of people who tend to be out of shape physically, exhausted mentally, and personally and professionally stressed out. But if you ask yourself these questions on a regular basis and make your daily decisions consciously, you can literally change the entire course of your life from this moment forward. Number 1, am I focusing on the right things? At every moment, millions of little things compete for your attention. All these things fall into one of 2 categories, things that are important and things that are not. People never get more done by blindly working more hours on everything that comes up. Instead, they get more done when they follow careful plans that measure and track key priorities and milestones. So if you want to be more successful and less stressed, don't ask how to make something more efficient until you first asked, do I need to do this at all? Simply being able to do something well does not make it the right thing to do. I think this is one of the most common problems with a lot of time management advice. Too often, productivity gurus focus on how to do things quickly, but the vast majority of things people do quickly should not be done at all. Read Getting Things Done. Number 2, is my mindset in the positive or the negative? Where your mind goes, energy flows. Which area of your life do you tend to focus on? What you have or what's missing from your life? I'm sure you think about both sides of this equation, but if you scrutinize your habitual thoughts, what do you tend to spend more time dwelling on? The positives or the negatives? Rather than focusing on what you don't have and begrudging those who are better off than you, perhaps you should acknowledge that you have lots to be grateful for. Developing a habit of appreciating what you have can create a new level of emotional well-being and strength. But the real question is, do you take time to feel deeply grateful with your mind, body, heart, and soul? That's where the energy to take positive action comes from. So don't let negativity and drama get the best of you. Your brain is a radio transmitter. It broadcasts thoughts, directions, and vibrations into your life. You get to choose the station it's tuned to. Happy, successful people understand this and tune out negativity to make room for positivity. Be wise enough to follow in their footsteps. Walk away from the nonsense around you. Focus on the positives, and soon the negatives will be harder to see. Also, along these same lines, accept the fact that there's a lot you can't control. And if you focus on what you can't control, you'll do nothing but create more stress for yourself. So remember, you can influence many aspects of your life, but you can't control them entirely. Once you fully accept and adopt this pattern of thinking, another important question must be asked. Number 3, what meaning am I assigning to my challenges? Even when we're being positive, we all have challenges. There's no escaping that. But how you feel about your life has little to do with the events in it or what has or hasn't happened to you. The meaning you assign to these things controls the quality of your life. Most of the time, however, you may be unaware of the effect of your unconscious mind in assigning meaning to life's events. So check in with yourself and find out how in tomorrow's episode. You just listened to part 1 of the post titled 5 Simple Questions That'll Make You 5 Times More Successful by Marc Chernoff of markandangel.com. And now at the top of the show, I mentioned I'm giving away a copy of Marc and Angel's book and a copy of Tim Ferriss's book, The 4-Hour Workweek. It's a super popular and great book, by the way. And I'm giving both away to 2 random people who send out a special tweet asking Tim Ferriss for permission for me to read his blog content right here on the podcast. So if you send him a tweet on Friday and tag both him and me in that tweet, you'll be entered to win both Marc and Angel's book and Tim Ferriss's book. Simple as that. But I will be sending out specific instructions in an email on Friday morning, which will also serve as a reminder. So to get that email, just make sure you're on my mailing list. You can enter your email at oldpodcast.com, or the fastest way to join is to simply text the word optimal to the number 44222. I don't imagine a ton of people will participate, so if you want a great chance to win one of these books, just make sure you send out that tweet on Friday. And fun side note, I personally will pack and mail the books to the winners, and the 4-Hour Workweek book is actually my copy. And that's it for today. We'll continue this post from Marc and Angel tomorrow, so I will see you there where your optimal life awaits.
Hey, this is Dan from the Optimal Finance Daily podcast, which is a lot like this show, except more focused on personal finance. Justin handpicks the best posts he can find from blogs and authors like Ramit Sethi, Mr. Money Mustache, and more, and I read them to you 5 days a week. So if you enjoy this podcast, come on over and subscribe to Optimal Finance Daily too. And together, we'll optimize your financial life.
You've been listening to Optimal Living Daily. Be sure to hit the subscribe button to stay up to date on each new episode and head to oldpodcast.com. That's OLDpodcast.com for a free gift as well as more actionable tips and resources to help you maximize your potential. Thanks for joining us, and remember, your optimal life awaits.